All right, so thank you so much everyone for joining us today. We have Barb Roberts here and she's the AVP for Admissions and Financial Aid. She is going to take us on a walk through the admissions application, which is something that will be helpful for advisors, kind of seeing those questions that students are being asked and to be able to see what information admissions is gathering at the application point. So Barb, I will turn it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me here. I'm going to have to ask for someone to kind of moderate the chat in case there are questions, because once I share my screen, I may not be able to see all of those. So if you don't mind there, that would be great. Let me see. It's still not connected. Okay. So let me switch back here. I'm going to share my screen and make sure that you all can. You should now be able to see it. Yeah, can you see the application there? Okay, so this is what it actually looks like once students log into the app. And they do that just from, they can go to admissions and then hit undergrad, like admissions from the main UNLV homepage and hit undergrad, or there are lots of times that we just push out the actual apply now button and it takes them directly to the part where they create a profile. When they create a profile, they give us some pieces of information right away: first name, last name, email address, and a few other things. All of those things carry over into the actual application. So you'll see those fields as we go through this piece as well. So once they create a profile, they log in, you can see, they will see their name up here. And then they can do things to their profile there. Most of them do not, some of them do. That will be a thing that, once everyone's in Student Success Hub, like creating their profile and adding more information there is, I'm certain, something that we'll want them to do even more. Right now, we don't really push students to put anything more in their profile. The home will take them to a different page. I'm not going to click on that now, but at the end, we can kind of circle back there. The application right here just has the admissions application is what's there currently. We are going to be adding the scholarship application under there because you may or may not know there used to be 90 questions for scholarship applications inside the admissions application, and a huge number of them we don't even award every year, because maybe there's one award that we can give every 4 or 5 years, and a student ties up that money until they're gone, and then so on and so forth. And there are just a lot of students that may not qualify for those things. If your parent was a Station Casinos employee, if you've ever been literally the MOU for this one scholarship says a cocktail waitress. It's not ideal. So we've removed that out of the admissions application just because it was cumbersome and also off-putting for a lot of students who just had to go through and say, no, they don't qualify for any of these things. And it kind of makes them feel like they're not going to get any aid. So we took it out of the admissions app. Then there are just some other links here. This just goes back to listing the admission requirements in case they want to review those again. Events and tours, that actually takes them to our events and tours calendar so they can see to register for anything that we have, a tour, next step presentations virtually, a FAFSA workshop, a verification workshop, all of the things that we put there. This Need Help Contact Us takes them to a page to create a case. And then the chat with us, which you'll get to see in a little bit, we do have a live chat, which you'll see in a moment. And then the self-service help center actually just takes them back to the main page of the Need Help Contact Us. It takes them to the page where they can create a case, but they can also create a case for registrar, for cashiering, for financial aid in the same spot. Okay, so this thing is really in my way. I'm gonna move it over here. This page, this real estate, we do change these deadlines as the year, every year. We update this information, what they need to do, and just give some basic instructions on things there. It's also in a million other places on the website and in our emails and every other place. This what's new is just, this is sort of a little bit of a placeholder just because we had to have some place for them to actually start their application. So now we tell them to start a new or continue with their application. So they can actually leave the application without submitting it. A lot of students do that, obviously. And we do communicate with those students who started an app and not submit. We push them back to the actual place in the application where they left off. But there are also times when we just say, hey, finish your app, and it takes them back to this page. And students can also just, when they log in, this is the page they will go to. Now, don't be alarmed when I'm going to put, you're going to see all of these huge number of applications that all say canceled on the side. That's because this is my kind of dummy app where I go in and look at things and see things that I want to adjust or change or questions that I have. So you're going to see all these different app numbers. And they all say canceled. And I mean, there's a lot, like you can see all the pages here. So it basically is just keeping track of everything that that the students have already started. Now you're going to see this one here. If I tried to start an app right now, it would tell me once I got to a certain point, hey, you actually can't go any further because you already have an application of this type, because you can see here it says that I'm completing this as a transfer student. So it's an undergraduate degree seeking application. So if I started to say, stop, do you want to continue with this other app? Do you want to cancel this one and continue with this one? Or do you want to cancel that one and start a new application? So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this one now so that you can just see how that works. And then I'm going to go back and start a new app. Okay. So this is all new. We used to not show students all of their other applications in this way, and we didn't show them what type of application that they had and the actual term in this detail. So we thought this was a good way to remind them of the things they've actually already completed. You can see down here in the right, this chat with us button. So we do have live agents that they report up through Barbara Blue and our campus relations and visitor experience team. And we have a group of students that do, well, first of all, there's a chat bot. And so when the students click on the chat, I'm not going to do it because it will like literally tie up my team upstairs. So there's a chat bot that runs first where we ask the student, what do they have questions about? And then depending on what they have questions about, it routes them to different places. If they choose financial aid, then it goes to a separate unit currently to a third-party group that does financial aid, all of the inbound calls and chats. Everything else does go to our chat team. Depending on the question, we do have a group of students that triage initially, and then they can escalate to our professional staff members that are our campus relations specialists. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new application now. Well, you can also see up here at the top, they can go to home from here. There's FAQs for different areas. This is just like in this self-service help center. You can see it up there. That's what it looks like. More contact us, submit forms and documents. That's not for admissions. Currently, those are only for cashiering, registrar, and financial aid. And then the more button is literally the events pages and to take them to the grad admissions page in case they came here incorrectly, because grad application is not built in this platform at this time. Okay, starting an app. This is the first thing that they get. It just tells them, hey, welcome to the Rebel Edge application, start a new app. These are all the different sections that they will do. And they cannot skip around. They can't click down here and just go to submit your documents. They do have to start at the beginning. So we start on application detail. Okay. Can you guys see okay? Because I have like this bar of y'all and it just is like overlapping everything. I have to keep having to move it. Okay. Is there a way for me to? Okay, there we go, actually. So this again is just helping guide the way and let the students know where they are in the application. This is just informational for them, just giving them some ideas, some hints, some kind of tips as they're working through their application. The application actions, right now, all they can do is cancel this application if they want to, which they can certainly do that. But moving forward, we're going to say save and continue. Now, the next part drops down, term and major. This is different. It did not used to start with this actual part. It started with some other sections, their personal information and things. But the reason that we moved this to the top is because this allows us to be able to shut off the first year application and leave the transfer application on. It allows us now to to turn off and on things by different timelines. So like the concurrent enrollment and dual enrollment application, that one stays open longer than anything else. And as does the intensive English program application and the non-degree seeking application. And now we have the ability to turn off and on first year, transfer, concurrent and dual, IEP, non-degree, all at different times. It also allows us to change some of the other questions based on the majors that they select. So, the first question, no application type, sorry, I skipped that. Select the statement which best applies to you. Can you all read it okay? Do I need to read it out loud? And I can't see you, so I'll have to hear.
I think I can read it okay, but I don't know if anybody else.
It's clear.
Okay. I'm going to first complete this as a high school student. So the first one, I'm currently attending high school or secondary school. That one is clearly this is going to allow me to apply as a first year student or as a CE or DE student, or just a regular non-degree, but that rolls up to dual enrollment, which you'll see in a moment, for a high school student. I have graduated from high school or secondary school. These students or have earned a high school equivalency credential. That can still be a first year student. It will not allow a student to then be CE or DE, but it could be a first year student. The difference between those two is that if they say they have already graduated, then we are going to, in PeopleSoft, require a final transcript. Whereas if they are currently attending, we do not. Ooh. Siri thought I was talking to her. The last one, I want to enroll at UNLV for non-credit bearing English language courses. That is only for IEP students. Okay, so I'm going to select this one. This is how we, I've told you all before, like we don't ask them, well, are you a first year student or are you a transfer student? Because they don't know. And a lot of students think that they are transfer students when they are actually first year students with advanced standing or with transfer credits. So the next question, we're going to say that they're going to start classes after their high school graduation, because if they are going to start and finish while still in high school, that again pushes them to the CE or DE app type. I am going to be enrolling in a degree or certificate program. Okay, that's a first year student. If it's non-degree seeking, again, that pushes them to either non-degree or concurrent or dual. Excluding AP, IB, or tech prep courses, have you taken any college level courses? And I am going to say that I have taken. That's what I'm going to put so that we can see what that looks like. Okay. And then save and continue. Oh, I still had one in there somewhere. I'm going to cancel it. Okay. So you guys got to see my example of it. It says I have too many. I needed to cancel it. So I did. Term and major. So I'm going to, right now for first year students, obviously the only thing that is available is fall 2023. Are you an MGM? Obviously this is for the MGM COP program. If I say yes, then they have to put in their ID number. They cannot move forward if they do not. It also automatically switches them to, yes, they intend to enroll in fully online degree program. And we put a note there that says, hey, you have to be. It also limits the majors that are listed. It only lists majors that the MGM COP students can enroll in. Obviously, for our purposes, I'm going to switch that back to no. Again, if I say yes, I'm intending in enrolling in fully online courses, it again limits the majors that are listed here to fully online programs only. I'm going to say no. And then for this purpose, today I'm going to pick one that I know has a requirement for an additional major so that you can see what that looks like. We do have nursing, pre, and social work. Because of the advising and VPE decision to require a secondary major, we do tell them for those two majors specifically, you've selected a limited entry major, they have to select a second option. So for those students, They have a specific list, which was given to us by the colleges and by VPUE, that this is the list we should list for nursing. There's a different list for social work. I am going to switch back now and switch one that I know has a concentration. So let's go to bio. And here's a concentration. Again, the same thing. They don't have to select a concentration. It's not required. You can see it does not have an asterisk by it, but they can select a concentration if they would like to. These are pulled directly from the PeopleSoft table. So if you're like, well, why do some of them have this, you know, the little acronym and some of them don't? We don't control that. It's just however it was set up in PeopleSoft, those are pulled directly over, sometimes very unfortunately, because some of them look pretty wonky. But we have no control over how those are set up in the PeopleSoft tables. Okay. Any questions so far?
I do have a question for you, Barb. For colleges that have online track programs like hospitality, none of our concentrations are available to be completed online. So how does the application look for that type of a situation?
Let's go back. So in online, I don't think that anything is fully online, right? I mean, correct? So hospitality, fully online modality is what it says.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Now, the next thing that you'll see is we put this note right at the top right here. I'm going to read it because it's important. It says, I don't know why it has two notes. It says note, note. I'm going to make a note of that. If you plan on applying for federal aid, please provide your name as it appears on your Social Security card. Because obviously, if they don't put their name exactly as it appears on the Social Security card, there's often a mismatch, even if they have their number correctly, and then we have issues on the aid side. So we do ask them to not list, Barb 1, but to list their full name as it actually appears. You can see that the salutation and the suffix are optional. We have them there because if it's on their Social Security card, they should list them. If it's not, they should not. Preferred first name. We are happy to say that we are able to push this over at this time, so students can list a preferred first name, and it's actually been very useful for us. We have been seeing, I've been seeing a number of students that it's working, and they are having their preferred first name go directly into their PeopleSoft, and also we're able to communicate with them based on their preferred first name. So we list last name or family name. That was at a request from GEI, our Global Ed Initiatives team. They, a lot of families, internationally, it's not last name, it's family name or surname. So we did make that adjustment there. Adding a former name is usually for students who have legally changed their names, someone who was here previously and has, a different, either they changed their first name or maybe they were married and changed their last name or are married now or whatever it is, they can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and save and continue. These are things that just carry over from when they create their profile. So this email came over, even though it's not the one I actually log in with. It's from a different spot, but that's okay. Now you can see that we added here a personal email and school or institutional email. We used to just say, give us your email. And students always applied with their school or institutional email, like their high school email. And then come July 1, we couldn't get a hold of anyone anymore. And the students are like, well, I didn't get that email. It's because it went to their school email. So we do ask them here and we put a note, please apply with your personal email account. And it's also sort of a note because we have parents who apply with their personal email instead of using their students, which is another problem. So we tried to add an additional field there. So we actually don't do anything with the school or institutional email, but a lot of students just want to list it just in case. but we do use this field up here for things. But we have their other email. It is stored in case we do want to include it on the communication, we can. Phone number, one of them is required. They don't have to complete the other two. We are starting to collect the WhatsApp number. We are not yet using that, but we do have plans to begin using it, especially internationally. This is the new opt-in. This is new for this year as well. Do you want to receive messages and updates by SMS text? Yes or no? If we say yes, we ask them to verify what phone number they want us to use. It doesn't automatically pull the secondary number. That's there because I have finished this part before today. And then we have a little privacy thing here where they can view the privacy policy and the SMS terms and all of those legal things that we have to have. Questions? I'm gonna put this back to no. Okay. Moving on, address, pretty standard stuff. We do ask them, I'm thrilled about this. We used to make them put it in again. Now we ask them if it's the same and they can say yes or no. If they say no, they have to add it in and change it or do whatever there. We did reorder some of this information here to try and make it a little easier to break down. There were things that we were asking for students who were domestic students versus international students. So we tried to kind of, if any of you have completed the application previously, you're going to remember that these things are in a little bit different order. We still have all of the information. We're collecting some additional pieces of information, but they're sort of in different spaces than they were before. So date of birth, that one's accurate. I was born in 1997. Sure, we're going to go with that. Birth country, depending upon what they choose here, this does have some impacts on things that they need to report later because it will ask them their citizenship if they do not state United States, that they were born in the United States. What sex is assigned on your birth certificate. These are the basic selections that INCHE is requiring. Demographic information, Hispanic or Latino, not Hispanic or Latino, and then we ask them to complete this. However, none of these things are required. We are not allowed to require any of them, so it is all optional for students to report. You can see that it is changing some things below. If you say that you are Hispanic or Latino, it does now, this is a new section as we continue to try to really recognize who students are on our campus. We are asking them to complete more information. So if they say Hispanic or Latino, we do ask what best describes that background. We also ask them to say how they identify themselves. You can see here I checked American Indian, Alaska Native, and I will show you why in a moment because, well, actually you can see here if I check all of these that I check, it asks additional information about their background. I am going to uncheck so we don't have to complete them all, or we're not required to complete any of them, but so that they don't show, except for the American Indian, Alaska Native one, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Because that question actually drives this question. Are you enrolled in a federally recognized tribe? This is all because of, not just in an effort again to know more about our students and who they are, but also because of the Native American tuition and fee waiver that INCHE rolled out a couple of years ago. This is the second year for that. If they say yes, then it asks them what tribe they're enrolled in. And you can see here, I think they can actually start typing, maybe not. If they go down and select, okay. This lists all the federally recognized tribes from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the federal governance for that specific information. If they choose a Nevada tribe, then what happens is that on the back end, we are sending communication to students to actually complete a flow in Salesforce. Well, we tell them, hey, we see that you said that you are, enrolled in this tribe. You may be eligible for this tuition and fee waiver. You can complete this to see if you are eligible or whatever. And so then it puts them through a Salesforce flow instead of them having to complete a PDF, download a PDF, print it off, re-upload it and send it over. And to whom it says the registrar's office, but it routes through registrar to financial aid to cashiering back to financial aid. And so we've set it up as a Salesforce flow. So it's not 5 separate emails. It's all just moves through very nicely as each office completes what they need to complete. And then the waiver gets applied to the student. So this is actually, we're pretty happy about this. And I think, and she was pleased with that as well. Okay, so we're going to save and continue. We go down to the MVSC information. This is all the exact same information as it was before on the application. It asks them a lot of different questions based on what their choices are here. Is there anyone who wants me to go through all of those? Are we okay to move on? Okay, hearing nothing, I will move on. Okay, so as I mentioned, it is asking my citizenship country because I had listed a birth country outside of the US. I'm going to say I am a US citizen. I will pick this again. In regards to the US, what's my citizenship status? If I put another country and I put none of the above, you can see here that then it asks me this question. Do I have a current valid visa? And do I require an F1 or an I-20 to study at UNLV? Those are things that are required because I put that I am not any of these things. If I put I'm a permanent resident, you can see that the valid visa is gone because it's assuming I'm a permanent resident. I do have one, but it is asking if I require an F1 or I-20 because sometimes students don't know their exact status. Again, what they choose here depicts or changes what's on here. I am going to leave it as none of the above. I'll say yes. When I say yes, it's going to ask me what type of visa I have. This is in an effort to better understand the number and types of international students we have on our campus. Before, we did not track anything except for F1s and J1s. And so now we are in an effort, through GEI efforts, trying to understand more of all the types of international students that we have on our campus. So yes, I require an F1. Then it asks more because through the GEI efforts, we do have agents. I think UNLV has contracts with 24 agents in foreign countries that are working to represent UNLV out to both graduate and undergraduate students. Because all of those folks they're under contract, they get payment based on the number of students that actually enroll and stay enrolled with us. We do ask them to say who their agent is. Those are listed here. It also helps us with payment. And then I need to change that. This is the student's first name and last name. Okay. I'm going to switch this back now. This next question, will you be applying for federal aid, grants, loans, or work study? They have to answer yes or no. The reason that we do this is because if they say yes, we now require the Social Security number. If they say no, I'm not going to use this, then this is not required. That didn't actually make, it did make it required, okay. Again, this is because if they don't put in their Social Security number, we cannot match up their ICER, which is the electronic data file that the FAFSA sends to our school, and it'll just sit out there. And then students get upset because we haven't awarded them aid, but it's because we don't have their Social Security number. They can, of course, add it in afterwards, but this has reduced our instances of students who say, but I sent you my FAFSA and you guys just didn't ever give me any aid. It's because they didn't do this. So this has definitely made a huge difference in that space. I'm going to go back to no though, so I don't have to put in a number. This next question is an NC required question. Are you a foster youth or were you at any time in the foster care system? It does give a definition for that. And you can say yes or no to that. Okay, questions? Okay, parent or legal guardian information. there are some things that are required for them to answer yes or no. There are some things that are not required. The things that are required are these three things: the yes or no, the has your parent previously attended or graduated from UNLV, and then what's their education level. And this is all because of our reporting information around first gen, and then our number of legacy students. These are institutionally and industry required questions. Okay, questions about this? The parent status, we did change these options. We had some things where this wasn't necessarily okay, and we also added the option of other, mother, father, other here for parent type. Okay, we're gonna save and continue. I forgot to mention that if you see this up here at the top, as soon as I had completed that application type, it makes this little banner and it tells students how they are applying. So it will say first year transfer, concurrent enrollment, dual enrollment, intensive English program. It tells them what they're actually applying as. Okay, so as for parent 1 and parent 2, now we're to the school part. They have to report their high school name, address, and graduation date. Whether you are a first year or transfer applicant, you have to do this. It's used initially for residency. So that's why we are also requiring that of transfer students, but also because even if they're a transfer student, they don't have enough credits, obviously we require a high school transcript as well. So for this, they select their high school. This is new. We are super happy about this. They can select if they are a high school, a secondary school, or a GED or homeschool, because it does change what they actually search, which has made it a lot easier for the processing team. It's a lot cleaner data. I'm going to just select here. Oh, I forgot that thing's not working. And then you can see it has, it lists schools. There says there are 14 pages of schools in the Phoenix area. They select the school, and this one automatically puts in all of the correct information so that we know exactly what transcript to expect to get. If they cannot find their school, sometimes because they just didn't page through or whatever it is, they can add a self-reported high school. When that happens, it does hold up their application from posting. Now, sometimes we legitimately don't have their high school, especially we've had that with a lot of international students. So if a student submits an application and they've added a self-reported high school, the processing team, it sits in a place called needs review in Salesforce, and the admissions processing team goes through and they see, do we actually have this high school or not? If we don't have the high school, there's a process that we have to submit all the high school information. So we have to go out and verify it, all the information about the school, and submit it to INSHE, and then INSHE builds a new called something called an org ID, and that's the thing that records where all of our high schools, where our students, their actual high schools are from, and we can connect their transcript to that actual high school for reporting instances back to clearinghouse and those types of things. So that can take, the INSHE process has gotten a little bit better. It used to take a really long time to get org IDs back. Now we typically get them back within 5 to 7 business days, but it basically sits waiting for that number to come back. And we're just sort of at INSHE's mercy until that happens. All right, so we will just select the school here. Okay, now it's going to ask their diploma type, and that's because we do have specific board approved requirements around specific diploma types. So if a student has an honors or an advanced diploma or a college and career ready diploma, those all have basically auto admits if a student has completed any of those types of degrees. If they have an adjusted diploma, that's actually an issue because adjusted diplomas don't meet the standard requirements, and so those students are denied because they're not going to meet the requirements. So for a student with an adjusted diploma to be admitted, they do have to go through an appeals process. Adult diplomas, sometimes they meet, sometimes they don't. So that's totally manual review. And GED is also totally manual review. Okay, graduation date. So this is important for a few different reasons. Obviously, because if it's in the past, then we're going to require a final transcript. If it's in the future, we do not require a final transcript, and all of our auto review jobs require a different number of core based on when the graduation date is before we can issue a decision. We ask them the CUME unweighted high school GPA and the CUME weighted high school GPA. They're required, so all of these are required. And rank is not required, but we do ask them their class rank. So if they say 1 out of 200 or whatever, this comes through, and on the financial aid side, all of this information is used both for admissions and for financial aid. It is of course verified when we get their official transcripts, but it is what determines from our auto awards, but also on the financial aid side, like if a student qualifies for VAL and what level of scholarship, of merit scholarship, that they could qualify for.
Barb,
Okay.
This is Nicole from Lee. I have a question for you. Do the students know that this information, like their ranking and GPA, that is also used for financial aid? Or like, is there a note anywhere in there that notifies the student? I didn't see anything. Because I mean, some students—
There's not.
Okay.
It doesn't say that, and I that's for specific reasons, but I think that most it's like not, it's what everybody does.
Okay.
I mean,
right.
Everybody uses, that's just, I mean, everyone in the world uses the information off of the application for awarding.
Okay. I'm just curious because to me, this is, so much of this is all new because I don't see this side. So this is really helpful. So I was curious. Thank you.
Yep, you bet. And so, a lot of you have heard this information before, but we do study this information every year. We review this information of how close is our self-reported data to the actual data that we get in from final transcripts. And nationally, it's 95% accurate. And at UNLV, for our first year students, it's 95% accurate. In our last review, that 5% that was inaccurate, students actually, 3% of the inaccuracies of the 5% that was inaccurate, 3% of those it's 3% underreported their GPA, and only 2% actually overreported their GPA. So it is very accurate information. The rank is also accurate. So we just don't see, and it's in line with all of the national data. Okay, I'm going to save this high school information and move on. We also tell them, by the way, that twice, we tell them when they report it, and we tell them at the end that if it's not accurate, that their application will be canceled, their admission will be rescinded, and they'll be reported to conduct at our institution. So just so you know. This is the high school self-reported course entry. Students can report course by course for grades 9 through 11. We will require, if they start this process, they have to do it 9, 10, and 11, and they have to do it for each core group. And essentially, this could help them be admitted more quickly if they really, not for CCSD so much, because those students, we get their transcripts electronically from the district as long as they put in their ID number, which I didn't pick a Nevada high school student, so it didn't show that. But if a student picks it from a Nevada high school, another box opens up and asks them for their Nevada high school ID. And that's so that we can get their high school transcript from CCSD on their behalf. But for out-of-state students, if they put all this information in, we will use that to calculate a core, because if you noticed, we did not ask them their core GPA. Students, it's not listed on the transcript any longer, even for CCSD. It used to be, it's not anymore. And it was never really accurate anyway. The things that they identified as core weren't what we identify as core. But out-of-state students typically don't have that. And so we do ask them to report it. If they don't, that's fine. We manually enter it when we get their transcripts in the mail. or through, Parchment or Common App or any of the other ways that we collect the transcript information. But they can do it here. We do verify it once we get the transcript to make sure that what they entered is correct. I am not going to enter it because, again, once I start, I'm going to have to do like 16 lines, and I don't want to do that here. It's kind of a waste of our time. Okay, moving on for test scores. We again tell them, this can expedite the admission decision, because if they have a score report that, we can use that for admission purposes. We ask them to report their ACT or SAT. We say they're strongly encouraged to. We can't say they're required because, and she says we can't say they're required for any reason to report them. So we tell students who are transfer or any other applicant type, basically, that they can report them, but they don't have to. For these students, everyone though has to say, I have taken the ACT or SAT and I would like to submit my scores. I haven't taken it, however, or I have taken it, but I don't want to share my scores, or I haven't taken it. Based on these responses, we do follow up with them separately. If they say I have taken the ACT or SAT, then they have to add scores before they can leave. We have them choose their test. The SAT is because they changed their categories. By the way, if they've taken them this old, they obviously don't work for y'all's purposes. They do technically work for admission processes because, and she says so. So they take ACT. We ask them their actual test date, and then they have to put in a score. So. Look, it's too high. That's because we have it set. It's 1 through 36, obviously. It does not have the logic to go, oh, you can't have a composite if these are your scores. It doesn't do that, by the way. We do tell them to only enter scores from this date. Don't mix the scores under one self-report. We have not started taking, as you know, they can, ACT and SAT both now offer your best test. And so they can use a score report that has their best section from each test, but they sort of could do that anyway by just saying that they've taken it multiple times. But we don't allow them to just enter their best test all at one time. Questions about this?
Is that the super score, Barb?
So nope, super score is a little bit different. My best test doesn't give them a higher composite. A super score gives them a higher composite based on all of the sections together. So that's what a super score is. My best test gives them just their best individual sub-test scores. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
And so if they add scores here that prove to be inaccurate, what happens at that point?
So if they are inaccurate and they've been admitted based on those scores and they're not admissible any other way, their admission will be rescinded. Okay. If they've been awarded aid based, well, that we know we don't use them for aid anymore. Never mind. We used to take away aid as well if they were incorrect, but since INCHE no longer requires it, we basically cannot use it. We don't use it for aid anymore either. And same thing for y'all. I know that if they're in something that it ends up not being an accurate score placement wise, that's removed as well. But yeah, students who lie on their application, it's rescinded because it's not accurate information. So
okay,
that is what happens. Yep. Okay. Can save and continue. Remember I said that this student had completed transfer information. And so it's the same kind of process, basically. We do tell them failure to provide a list will result in delay of admission decision, loss of transfer credit, cancellation of admission. All of these things still happen. Students still do it. We put it here. We put it again at the end that they are saying that everything's accurate. It's still not always accurate. We still have people that we have to rescind admission for. Sometimes we don't rescind if they're still admissible. We do send them to conduct, but if they just provide it, we require them to send the additional transcript. We find out about it either through financial aid or through MVSC, or sometimes they just randomly send in transcripts for us. And then they're like, oh, I forgot to put it on the application, but here's my transcript. And we enter it in and they still get reported. Okay, I am going to save and continue. I'm not going to put it in, it's the same process. Oh, actually, maybe I do want to do that. I want to show you one thing here, because this is an important thing. If a student says, okay, I went to whatever school it is. I'm going to find CSN here, maybe. You could actually type in this school, but then sometimes you don't do it exactly right. Okay, so we ask them their start date of attendance and their end date of attendance. So if we have a student that says that their end date, their start or end date is actually after their high school graduation date, then we flag it and we put it back in that ready for review status to determine if the student is truly a first year student or a transfer student. That's something new. We had a lot of students over COVID who would say that they were first year. No, I don't have any credit, don't have any credit, don't have any credit. And because we still left the transfer institution place available for them to report things, they would report it that they went there and tried to say, but I don't want to use those credits. And we say, but you have to, you can't just choose not to. But a lot of those students end up getting pushed into PeopleSoft as first year students. Y'all know, because you were contacting me at orientation, this is a transfer student. We're like, they applied wrong. So we did put this in to help mitigate that. And we are catching students. So hopefully you'll see a smaller number of that coming through. You can also see our fail safe here. They can't do things backwards. It has to all make sense, what they're doing. This could be a GPA, I guess. The degree type, again, this is not pushed directly as official to PeopleSoft, just so that y'all know. That degree type has to be actually on their transcript. Okay, save and continue. Okay, I clicked that, right? Oh, it's because I already moved forward. So for now, these students, they can look at their application and see all the things that they actually put in. We also save this PDF of the application in Salesforce, so we can go back and review what they put in, and if something's wonky and doesn't match right, it lists everything that they did, basically. Okay, your application is ready for payment and submission now. This is they agree, they sign their name. Maybe, oh, I keep forgetting that's not hooked up. Now we ask them, this is a new thing, are you eligible or would like to request a fee waiver? They can say yes or no. If they say no, they can just pay and move on. And that's it. And they get a hey, you're done thing. If they say yes, then we ask them questions here. New this year, we are pushing all of these through and actually going ahead and letting them export. Basically, they can submit. In the past, if they said they wanted a fee waiver, we held up their application and they couldn't submit, as we tried to figure out which fee waiver they were qualified for. And it was a lot of back and forth with students, and it just was a barrier. And I can tell you that we never turned anyone away. There was always those students that want to request a fee waiver and say that they're eligible for something, they always had it. And so we just made the determination that we're not going to hold them up. If they say other, they do have to upload a document. We have had a few that said, I'm none of these things, which are the ones we approved. If they say they're other, that's the one area that we do hold up their application. Because if they upload something and it's nothing that would really have them meet requirement for or eligibility for a fee waiver, we do reach out and say, do you have something else? And most of them go, never mind, I'll just pay. So we've had really good success with this so far. Then they can just request their fee waiver and submit the app, and it's done. That's it. I'm not going to do that because it will actually submit. I'm in the live application right now. This isn't a fake sandbox thing. This is like a live app. So I don't want to confuse my team and be like, why is Barb applying to UNLV? Okay, questions.
Hi, Barb. I
I
have a
promise it
quick
doesn't take that
question.
long when I'm not talking through it. If a student just does it, they can get through it in about 30 minutes.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I'm trying to speak low and slow. We have a cookie drive and a door contest going on. So there's babies and dogs in the building. That being said, I had two questions, actually. One was earlier, it was just a little too loud. I have students that, and it's not an often thing, but they may make a mistake during like the general portion of the application. One more recent example is one of my active duty members mistakenly selected female as the gender instead of male. And he's already submitted the application. His transcripts arrived, but they didn't auto apply to the account. Now that he has been accepted, I worked with Shirley and we figured out the issue, but now he's accepted, but the general information still reflects female. What would be the best route to kind of change that?
Yeah. So that is not through admissions. Once it submits and is in PeopleSoft, it is out of our hands. We can change nothing. And so it is through basically the change of personal information form. I'm going to find it now and just ding it and share it in the chat. But it is through the registrar's office. So once a student submits their application, we can't do anything. That's why we're trying to catch even the social security numbers and those types of things, earlier. So it's because they have to go through, they have to submit the form, they have to submit, proof of these things. And a lot of students then feel wonky about doing that. And I get it, having to give your social security card or your visa or whatever it is. Like students don't feel great about doing that, and I understand, or their birth certificate or whatever it is. So, but that is the change of personal identification or personal information form. It can be uploaded through the self-service help center. They'll just go to registrar, submit form, and that's where they'll do it.
Easy. Okay, thank you. And then the other question I have is under the waivers. Oftentimes I now have my active duty military students. I'm sure you're seeing it. They kind of like check the waiver box and maybe take a picture of their ID, and then they just think it's like done. How is that being handled on your end, or can I connect with you, I guess, at a later time?
We probably need to talk later. That's not
Okay.
one on our radar that's necessarily like, oh, they just get a fee waiver.
Okay.
So
I'll reach out. Okay, thank you.
Okay. You bet. Nothing else?
Hi, Barb, it's Nicole again. I do have a question. If I understood this correctly, at the very end, the student, you can, in Salesforce, you can save this document as a PDF, correct? Like everything that the student showed?
It is automatically saved as a PDF.
Perfect. Okay, good. Thank you.
The students can download it, but it's also saved. Like we were able to see exactly what they submitted. I mean, it's stored in all of the fields too. Like they can, you can look through each field, but we also have an actual PDF of the application as well.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. I'm just thinking of it for when UNLV goes to Salesforce, the whole campus.
Yep. We're excited for that too. Probably more than y'all are.
Yeah, we know we'll have a lot to learn.
Once you get in there, you're gonna love it. I'm telling you.
I'll take your word for it. I'm hoping. It looks like it can
You will,
do
I
so
promise.
much.
So much. It can do so much. And it'll be so great to have everybody looking at the same information and to have our students be in one place. It's going to be awesome.
Other questions for Barb while she's here? Now's your chance.
Hi, Barb.
I'm very surprised y'all are so quiet.
Go ahead, John.
Sorry.
If a student had dual enrollment credits, like they took credits dual enrollment, does that show up on their high school transcript, or do they have to report that as transfer credits?
So this is something that we have gone round and round with our students. We have it in our admissions presentation. We've talked with counselors about it. We tell parents about it all the time because it is not well communicated to CCSD. The counselors don't give the right information to students. They tell students, it's going to be on your transcript. Yeah, it is, except at the high school, it doesn't say that it's credit from Nevada State or from UNLV or from TMCC or from whoever else or CSN. It just says you took Algebra 1 or you took college math or you took biology or English. That's what it says. It's not the actual transfer credit. And there is nothing, it's going to be on their high school transcript as meeting one of their core classes, and they will have a grade on there. And we will put that in as their core class. But for them to get transfer credit and for us to know that this is something that's going to perhaps meet their, their placement requirement or be their gateway math or English, they have to report the institution and give us the transcript from the actual institution where they earned the credit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We had an admitted student event during homecoming, and it was all parents because they were early admits, obviously. All these parents sitting in there, and they were like, whoa, that is not what the school told us. I'm like, yeah, they're wrong. So that's what has to happen.
All right, 1 minute left. Any last questions for Barb? If not, thank you so much, Barb. This was very helpful. We appreciate it and have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.